3 weeks ago, the Knicks traveled to Houston and got taken out by some flying Rockets. It was a blowout filled with emotion, fighting words, and pictures which instantly told you who had a good time and who did not. But in this search for consistency, Jeff Van Gundy has seen this before, and each time the Knicks have redeemed themselves. Remember that night Sasha Danilovic went off and Miami won big at the Garden? Days later in Florida, the Knicks response was impressive, and they got the win. There was the game when Allen Houston returned to Detroit, only to find Grant Hill and his Pistons pumping. In the return match at the Garden, things were decidedly different, and the Knicks got the revenge they sought. So tonight, they must remember Houston and how things felt in Texas, and then do what they've done before and deliver some bad news to Houston's mission control. It should be a good one tonight at the Garden. The network of the Knicks welcomes you live to the world's most famous arena. Tonight, it is the second and final meeting of the season between the Knicks and the Rockets of Houston. We'll take you through the story of the standings. First in the Atlantic, the Knicks are 2 games behind the Miami Heat, coming off a disappointing loss Sunday against the Charlotte Hornets. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets have lost 4 straight games. They've been bothered by injuries lately and inconsistency over the last month and a half. Still 32-14 has them tied for first with Utah in the Midwest. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Trautwig, and welcome to our coverage of the Knicks here on MSG. We'll start things off with who's playing. John Starks will be in the lineup tonight in spite of re-injuring his collarbone and neck muscle, which has been bothering him on Sunday. Meanwhile, Charles Barkley announced tonight to the media he's out of not only tonight's game, but also the All-Star game this weekend in Cleveland. Patrick Ewing is also out of tonight's game for the New York Knicks. And to take off on that part of the storyline, we send it over to Marv Albert and John Andres.
All right, thank you, Al. And John, with Patrick Ewing sidelined for a 3rd straight game with that pulled groin muscle, it means a very difficult task for the Knicks going up against Houston All-Star center Akeem Olajuwon. Now, even with Ewing in the lineup, Akeem has given the Knicks a very tough time over the years.
Yes, it's a supreme challenge to go against a man who is reigning at the top of NBA center, certainly the Western Conference All-Star once again, and against the Knicks in Houston. Why, when given any kind of room, this is what happens. And we certainly know how he can shoot the jump shot. As usual, Olajuwon's numbers are high, 7th NBA leading scorer right now, and the numbers that follow are still very impressive. The rebounding would be higher hadn't it been for the presence of Charles Barkley this year, who's number 3 rebounder in the NBA this year, but Olajuwon's getting a bit of a rest in the rebounding department.
And John, with Ewing out, it means the Knicks need even stronger offensive performances from people like Larry Johnson and Allen Houston, 2 players who at times when Ewing has been in the lineup have deferred to Ewing, so they really need both to elevate their games tonight.
As we've now passed the halfway point of the NBA season, and both of those guys are used to the Knicks and used to the environment, it seems that they're trying to be more aggressive, particularly when you look at a game like Sunday with Larry Johnson going strong to the basket. That's the kind of play that the Charlotte team got used to seeing for his years there, his 5 years there. And the same with Allen Houston, who before the last Houston game said, I want to be more aggressive, and he has become more aggressive. I think what's impressive here is the field goal attempts against Charlotte the other day. Both of those guys taking a lot of shots, particularly Larry Johnson, who now seems to understand he must step up and be a scorer, and he seems to want that role. And tonight is certainly a good opportunity for both of them to fill in for Ewing big time.
All right, so coming up in just a moment, it's the New York Knicks and the Houston Rockets meeting for the 2nd time this regular season. Back to Madison Square Garden as we get set for the Rockets and the Knicks. Closed captioning brought to you by Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the best of health. Now we're set for the introduction of the starting lineup.
3 from Pennsylvania, number 12, Matt Maloney. And guard at 6'7" from from Houston, number 22, Clyde Drexler. At forward at 6'5" from American International, number 17, Mario Ellie. At forward at 7 feet from Michigan State, number 42, Kevin Willis. At center at 7 feet from Houston, number 34, Hakeem Olajuwon. Charles Barkley and Charles Jones will not play due to injury.
Second and final meeting of the regular season coming up between the Knicks and the Rockets. The Rockets in recent games have had their problems, 4 straight losses. Certainly the absence of Charles Barkley has contributed to that. They are 12 up and 12 down since the fast start. And the last 4 games, Barkley has missed 3 and Drexler has missed 2, although Clyde Drexler did return on Sunday. Earlier we talked with Hakeem Olajuwon on the subject of tonight's game and his feelings about going up against a Knicks club that is without Patrick Ewing.
Well, we just want to win. You know, the bottom line for us is that we need a win to go back. So, you know, I hope and I wish Patrick the best of luck because, you know, Patrick and I have been, you know, since college, he's been battle, you know, so the most important for us is getting the job done.
Always the most gracious competitor. Hakeem Olajuwon represents the best of professional athletes, Marv. But as he said, they're hungry. They're hungry because they've lost their last 4. At least 3 of them, though, were to quality teams. Orlando, the emerging Orlando Magic, Indiana, and Utah, although they lost to Denver as well on a tough night for them.
And in the game against Denver, Hakeem with 48 points, and he did it with 24 field goals. Did not go to the line at all.
Remarkable. I was looking at the Rockets lately. They haven't been to the line much at all in their last several games. Surprisingly so for a team that spends a lot of time at the line.
Moments ago, Charles Barkley, during the introduction of the lineups, was trying to get the attention of someone at the Knicks bench. I thought it was Charles Oakley. Try to get into Oakley's mind even when he's not in the game. He was looking to give a wave of hello, I thought, to Oakley.
I'm sure he will and will continue to do it. In fact, the officials will probably have to keep their eye on the Rockets bench most of the game because of that young fellow over there, that young man.
The officials are Ed Middleton, Jim Clark, and George Tolliver. So Herb Williams is the starter. Check that. Buck Williams is the starter at center. Herb Williams had started the last 2 games, although played just minimal minutes. Kevin Willis coming up short. And back comes Chris